Have you ever wondered why some men seem to leave a lasting impression on women, the kind that lingers long after they're gone? It's not magic, and it's not luck. It's about understanding human nature, emotional chemistry, and, surprisingly, a bit of ancient wisdom. Back in ancient times, men would disappear for long stretches on hunting trips, leaving the women behind with a mix of longing and curiosity. That emotional imprint, the ache of missing someone, is still hardwired into us today. But here's the thing. Getting a woman to miss you isn't just about vanishing into thin air. You have to leave something behind, a feeling, a spark, a memory, strong enough to haunt her thoughts even when you're not around. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, the natural, high-value way. Welcome to Win Stoic. 1. The time you spend with her matters. More than you think. The way you show up when you're with her determines whether she thinks about you when you're gone. Attraction isn't just about looks, money, or status. It's about how you make her feel in your presence. Most men go wrong in one of two ways. They either try way too hard, constantly fishing for her approval, or they go too far in the other direction, acting too passive, like just showing up is enough. Neither of those works. The sweet spot? Confident presence. Be fully engaged when you're with her. Attentive, charismatic, and intentional. But never desperate for her attention. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence, like your world doesn't revolve around her, it creates intrigue. Women can sense when a man is too eager, and that kills attraction fast. But if you're too cold or detached, she'll assume you're not interested. The secret is in balanced presence. You're into her. You enjoy the moment. But your life is clearly full and fulfilling with or without her. This is classic Stoic wisdom. True wealth isn't in what you own. It's in needing less. When a woman sees that you're content with your own life, with purpose, discipline, and direction, you automatically become more attractive. And when you leave, she'll start to wonder about you because you're not constantly available. That's where the longing begins. 2. Create experiences. She can't forget. Women don't just remember men. They remember how those men made them feel. If you want her to miss you, you have to create experiences that stir emotion and curiosity. Make your time together feel special, not through flashy gifts or forced romance, but by being unpredictable, playful, and present. Take her somewhere unexpected. Introduce her to new ideas, challenge her thinking. Have real conversations, ones that dig below the surface. The men women can't forget aren't necessarily the richest or the most handsome. They're the ones who made them feel alive. If every time with you feels like a cookie-cutter date, there's nothing to miss. But if you make her world feel a little less colorful when you're gone, she'll crave your return. 3. Master the power of emotional tension. Let's talk about emotional tension. It's the secret ingredient most men overlook. Too much predictability kills desire. This is why people, unfortunately, get addicted to toxic relationships. The emotional highs and lows create a chemical roller coaster. Now, you don't want to create toxic drama, but you do want to spark curiosity and excitement. Playfully tease her. Challenge her opinions, not in an aggressive way, but in a way that shows you've got your own mind. Make her laugh, then leave her wondering what you're thinking. It's this push-pull dynamic that makes you memorable. When you're not always predictable or easy to figure out, she'll think about you more. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If her mind is constantly circling back to you, replaying things you said, wondering what you're doing, she's already missing you. 4. Don't overstay your welcome. This is where most men mess up. They cling, they overstay. They try to maximize every second with her, afraid that leaving too soon will make her lose interest. But the truth, leaving at the right time, when emotions are high, is how you create longing. When you step away while she's still thinking about you, it creates an open loop in her mind. Our brains crave closure. When she doesn't get it, she'll keep thinking about you, trying to fill in the blanks. That's how desire grows. The art is in knowing when to pull back, not as a game, but as a natural extension of having your own life to live. High-value men don't chase. They attract by being men worth missing. Making a woman miss you isn't about playing hard to get. It's about becoming a man whose presence adds value to her life, and whose absence leaves a space nothing else can quite fill. Master that, and you won't just make her miss you. You'll make her crave you. Welcome to the way of the Stoic. She'll start seeking you in her thoughts. The art of leaving a lasting impression. Think about the best movies or books you've ever experienced. What made them unforgettable wasn't just the story. It was the unanswered questions, the parts left open for your imagination to fill. That lingering curiosity is what keeps you hooked, long after the credits roll. This same principle applies to attraction. The key is to be intentional with your presence. Show up fully, create a meaningful connection, and then step away at the peak. Leave her wanting more. So, what's the real secret to making a woman miss you? It's all about controlled presence, emotional imprinting, and strategic absence. Every great storyteller, leader, and strategist understands this simple truth. Timing is everything. The biggest mistake most men make is believing that being constantly present will make her attached. But the reality? Scarcity creates value. When you start applying these timeless Stoic lessons to your relationships, not only will women begin to miss you, but you'll also develop a powerful sense of independence. That inner strength, the kind that doesn't need to chase, naturally attracts. This is the art of influence, the mastery of self-control, and the key to unlocking deep, lasting attraction. 2. When you're not with her. That's when attraction grows. Here's a counterintuitive truth. Attraction doesn't build when you're with her. It builds when you're not. Longing happens in your absence, in those quiet moments when she starts to wonder about you. Most men get this wrong. They assume that if they aren't constantly texting, calling, or showing up, she'll forget about them. But real attraction grows in space, not in suffocation. A high-value man understands this. For a woman to truly miss you, she has to feel your absence. If you're always available, replying instantly, always in her inbox, constantly showing up, there's no room for her to crave you. Healthy relationships naturally have an ebb and flow. Time together, followed by time apart. Think about the last time you craved something, a food you hadn't had in months, a song you randomly remembered, or even an old friend you lost touch with. That distance made the desire stronger. It works the same way in attraction. If you give her time to miss you, she will. But if you're constantly there, she'll never have the chance to realize your value. This ties back to a core Stoic principle. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. You can't force anyone to miss you, but you can create the conditions for it. Don't fill the silence. Embrace it. One of the biggest mistakes men make is being uncomfortable with silence. They fill every gap with unnecessary texts, random check-ins, or constant "just thinking about you" messages. They fear being forgotten. But here's the truth. A woman doesn't miss your words. She misses the presence of a man who adds value to her life. Instead of worrying about keeping her attention, focus on building a life that naturally draws her back to you. Are you working toward your goals? Are you improving mentally, physically, Emotionally, do you have a purpose outside of her? A high-value man isn't sitting around wondering, is she thinking about me? He's too busy becoming the kind of man she can't forget. Attraction thrives in space, not clinginess. Think about it. Have you ever been drawn to someone who was overly eager, always available, and never busy? Probably not. But the person who had a full life, real passions, and a sense of purpose, that's the one who leaves an impression. You don't need to vanish completely. What you need is meaningful distance. If she knows you'll always text back within seconds or drop everything for her call, there's no anticipation, no intrigue. And anticipation is what builds attraction. The best stories keep you hooked by leaving questions unanswered. A truly captivating man does the same. He gives her just enough to feel connected, but not everything all at once. When you make yourself scarce, not as a game, but because you're genuinely living your purpose, you create space for curiosity to grow. That curiosity turns into longing. She'll catch herself wondering, what's he doing right now? Why isn't he texting me back immediately? Is he thinking about me too? That's the spark of desire, the kind that lingers. Real attraction comes from who you are. If you look at the men who struggle the most in dating, there's a common thread. They smother women. They hover. They overtext. They constantly seek reassurance. They never let her breathe. But a man who lives with purpose, who's fully engaged in his own life, that's the man who's impossible to forget. Attraction isn't about tricks. It's about becoming someone she wants to chase. That's the power of self-control, the influence of a life well lived, and the timeless art of leaving her wanting more. Compare that to the man fully invested in his own growth. Now, think about the kind of man who's fully engaged in his own evolution. He's building his career, exploring new places, staying active, and diving into his personal passions. That man doesn't chase. And because he doesn't, women chase him. They wonder about him. They think about him when he's not around. Not because he's playing games, but because he's created a life so full and magnetic that it naturally draws them in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't control whether a woman misses you, but you can control how you spend your time when you're apart, when you focus on your growth, becoming a man of purpose, depth, and discipline. Her missing you becomes inevitable." The real lesson. Stop trying to force attraction. Stop fearing silence. Stop filling the space with random texts or meaningless conversations just to feel secure. Instead, embrace the power of absence. Give her the chance to feel your presence by not always being present. Become the kind of man who doesn't chase, but attracts. When you do this, you won't have to wonder if she's thinking about you. She will, because you've given her a reason to. 3. Master the art of unpredictability. A high-value man knows that attraction isn't just built when you're with her. It's built when you're not. If she can predict your every move, every reply, every action, she'll mentally categorize you as safe, but uninspiring. And while safety has value, excitement is what keeps desire alive. Marcus Aurelius also said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That same wisdom applies to attraction. When you learn to control how you show up, your energy, your presence, your timing, you shape how she feels about you. This is the power of unpredictability. It disrupts expectations and creates emotional highs and lows, the same emotional waves that make your presence stick in her mind. Think about it. Why do people get addicted to binge-worthy shows or even toxic relationships? It's because they never fully know what's coming next. That sense of uncertainty is emotionally addictive. In your daily interactions, this applies directly. If you always text her first thing in the morning, skip a day and message her at night instead. If you always initiate conversations, let her be the one to reach out. If every date follows the same script, change it up. Surprise her with something unexpected, a new activity, a different vibe, or even a little space when she thought you'd be there. The key isn't to be erratic, it's to be intentionally unpredictable. It's about breaking patterns just enough to keep her engaged without making her feel ignored or insecure. When she doesn't have complete certainty about what you'll do next, she'll think about you more. She'll mentally invest in figuring you out. And that's exactly where emotional attachment starts to grow. Authenticity first, not games. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about faking distance or creating artificial drama. A man who understands Stoic principles knows that true power comes from authenticity. The goal isn't to confuse her. It's to be a man whose life is dynamic enough that you're naturally unpredictable. A man with passions, responsibilities, and personal ambitions that occasionally make him unavailable. When your time is valuable, because your life is valuable, it automatically creates a sense of scarcity. And when she realizes your world doesn't revolve around her, your presence becomes more valuable, not less. That's the mindset of a high-value man. Someone whose self-worth comes from who he is, not how much attention he gets. Keep her intrigued. If you want to build deep attraction, don't become predictable. Don't become that guy who's too available or too easy to figure out. Keep her intrigued by being a man whose time, energy, and attention are valuable. A man whose presence leaves a lasting impression and whose absence is felt. Create those moments of surprise. Shift the patterns. And above all, build a life so rich and fulfilling that unpredictability comes naturally, not because you're playing a part, but because you're truly living. Because in life and in love, it's the unexpected moments that keep the story alive. This is the mindset of a man who thrives. This is the mindset of a man who thrives, who leads, and who naturally attracts. Not because he's trying to impress anyone, but because he knows his worth. If you've made it this far in the video, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below saying, "Mastering the unexpected." It's a great way to show that you understand and are ready to apply the art of surprise in your own life. 4. Develop an aura of exclusivity. If you want to make a woman truly miss you, it's not about playing games. It's about knowing your own value and understanding the space you hold in her life. Some men walk into a room and effortlessly capture attention. They leave a lasting impression, while others fade into the background. What's the difference? It's all about mindset. A mindset rooted in self-respect, quiet confidence, and emotional intelligence. High-value men treat their time like a rare currency. They don't hand it out freely or chase after validation. Instead, they cultivate an aura of exclusivity, making their attention something to be earned, not something to be taken for granted. If you're always available, always texting first, or constantly looking for her approval, you risk blending into the sea of men doing the same. But if you subtly shift the energy, focusing on your own life, your goals, your purpose, you naturally become more valuable in her eyes. It's not about ignoring her. It's about creating space. Let her feel the difference when you're not around. Let her wonder where you are, what you're doing, and who you're doing it with. That curiosity turns into longing. Create moments of connection, but don't drown her in attention. Let her sit with the silence sometimes, because it's in that space that she'll feel your absence the most. When she realizes your attention isn't something you hand out to just anyone, it becomes something she craves. The power of emotional stability. As the Stoics taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Women are drawn to men who are calm, grounded, and unshaken by life's ups and downs. Emotional stability is magnetic. When you're content within yourself, when you're not constantly looking for reassurance or outside validation, it sets you apart from the crowd. Cultivate a life where your happiness comes from your own sense of purpose, not from anyone else's attention. This not only makes you more attractive, it makes her realize you're not like other men. You're someone worth holding on to. Show, don't tell. One of the most attractive qualities any man can have is ambition. When you're focused on your goals, growing into the best version of yourself, and living a life you genuinely love, you become naturally desirable. When you do talk to her, mention your passions, the interesting projects you're working on, the people who inspire you, not to show off, but to show her that your life is full, with or without her. This sparks curiosity. It makes her want to be part of your world, a world that's already exciting on its own. People crave what they can't easily have. If your time and attention are always available, they lose value. But if you create even a little bit of space where she has to reach for you, she'll appreciate your presence so much more. When she feels like your attention is something special, not something guaranteed, her desire deepens. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you're grounded in your own happiness, when your confidence comes from within, people feel that. They sense that you're not dependent on anyone to feel complete. And that's exactly what makes you irresistible. The takeaway: making a woman miss you isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about becoming a man of undeniable value. A man who's confident, purpose-driven, someone who respects his own time, energy, and worth. When you stop chasing and start attracting, when you value yourself first, everyone around you, including the woman you desire, will start valuing you the same way. As Seneca wisely said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." So, focus on building the best version of yourself, and the right people, including the right woman, will naturally miss your presence when you're not around. 5. Create the feeling that she could lose you. Have you ever noticed that people tend to value things more when they realize they could lose them? It's true for jobs, friendships, and especially relationships. When something feels guaranteed, it's easy to take it for granted. But the moment we sense it might slip away, our appreciation skyrockets. This dynamic plays a powerful role in attraction. If you want a woman to truly miss you, you need to create the subtle feeling that your presence, your attention, even your energy, isn't guaranteed. You don't need to say it outright. The key is to let her feel it. This isn't about playing games or manipulating her emotions. It's about making real shifts in how you live your life. Changes that naturally signal your value. High-value men are not always available. Men who know their worth understand that their time and energy are limited resources. They don't pass them out like free samples. When you focus on your own goals, your career, your growth, your passions, people notice. And that includes her. Without you saying a word, it becomes clear. Your attention is something special. And when it's no longer always available, its value increases. As Seneca wisely said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you start putting your time into things that truly matter to you, without explaining or announcing it, it creates a sense of scarcity. And scarcity makes anything, including you, feel more valuable. Subtle shifts. Speak louder than words. Let's say you've been spending a lot of time with her, but you start to feel like she's taking that time for granted. Instead of sitting her down for a "we need to talk" moment, you just shift. Maybe you say something simple like, Lately, I've been thinking a lot about where I'm investing my energy. That's it. No drama, no accusations, just a calm, confident signal that you have a full life and that your time isn't something to be taken lightly. This kind of shift triggers something powerful: the fear of loss. When someone starts to feel they might lose access to something valuable, they naturally appreciate it more. It's not manipulation, it's just human nature. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. This doesn't mean you disappear or act cold. It's about finding a healthy balance, creating just enough space for her to feel your absence. Humans have a funny way of only realizing how much something means when they no longer have unlimited access to it. By giving her the gift of missing you, you're allowing her to feel how valuable your presence truly is. And the beautiful part? You're not playing hard to get. You're simply living your life with purpose, prioritizing your growth, your goals, and your well-being. That's what makes you magnetic. Actions. Over-explanations. High-value men don't over-explain themselves or beg for attention. They don't need to. They're too busy building their own lives. And that natural focus on self-mastery is what makes them irresistible. Think of a successful entrepreneur, always traveling, building, expanding, focused on his vision. He's not texting all day or constantly checking in, and yet his value increases because his time is rare. That sense of purpose, the energy of a man who's always evolving, is naturally attractive. Rooted in Stoic confidence. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you shift your mindset away from seeking external validation and toward becoming the best version of yourself, everything changes. You stop centering your life around her and start centering it around your own mission and passions. That's what makes you stand out. Not the chase, not the constant availability, but the quiet confidence of a man who knows his worth and isn't afraid to live his life fully, with or without her. The core message: making a woman miss you isn't about disappearing or pretending not to care. It's about creating an environment where your value speaks for itself. When you carry yourself like a man whose time is precious and whose attention is earned, not given, she will feel it. And when you combine that with a life filled with purpose and growth, you don't need to chase anyone. The right people, including the right woman, will naturally want to be part of your world. As Seneca reminded us, time once lost cannot be regained. So invest your time wisely, in yourself, in your future, and watch how the right people start valuing every moment they get with you. The power of delayed gratification. Somewhere along the way, we've lost touch with one of the most powerful forces in human attraction: delayed gratification. In today's world, we're used to getting everything instantly. Whether it's food at our doorstep, endless social media updates, or quick responses to texts, patience has almost become a lost art. But here's the truth: what's rare is valuable. The things we have to wait for, work for, or wonder about tend to hold the most power over us. And that's just as true in relationships. If you want to make a woman miss you, really miss you, you need to embrace the art of delayed gratification. High-value men understand this. They know that by not always being available, by choosing carefully where they invest their time and energy, they naturally create a magnetic pull. This isn't about playing games or acting cold. It's about living with purpose and making sure your time and attention actually mean something. When you do that, your presence becomes rare. And when something's rare, it becomes more desirable. Time is your most valuable asset. Seneca said it best: it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. The time you give someone isn't just a gift, it's an investment. And when you invest your time wisely, people notice. If you're always available, if you always say yes the moment she asks to see you, it sends the message that your time isn't valuable. Or worse, that you don't have much else going on. Instead, try this. When she asks to meet up, respond with something like, "I'd love to, but my schedule's packed this week. Maybe next weekend." This simple, calm response sends a powerful message. You have a life full of your own priorities. You aren't just sitting around waiting for her. Your time is something that needs to be earned, not taken for granted. That subtle shift, making her wait just a little, creates space for desire to build. Emotional distance creates emotional pull. This isn't about being rude or ignoring her. It's about teaching her, through your actions, that your attention is valuable. It's something rare. And what's rare is always more desirable. This ties into a core Stoic principle: patience and valuing what isn't instantly available. Women, like anyone else, are naturally drawn to things that feel just slightly out of reach. The more she senses that your time and attention aren't guaranteed, the more she'll crave them. In a world of instant everything, be the exception. We live in a world where people expect instant responses, instant validation, instant everything. But when you practice delayed gratification, you stand out. You become the man who isn't always reachable because you're busy building your life, your career, your goals, your personal growth. That not only makes you more interesting, it sparks her curiosity. She'll start wondering, what's he up to? What's keeping him so focused? Why isn't he always texting me back right away? And that curiosity, that's attraction in motion. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about having a life so full and purpose-driven that you naturally command respect and attention. Self-control is magnetic. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you develop the self-discipline to focus on your own goals and not seek constant external validation, you become both happier and more attractive. Delayed gratification isn't just about making her miss you. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't chase, because he doesn't need to. You're already fulfilled by your own journey, and that quiet confidence pulls the right people toward you, naturally. This is bigger than just one relationship. When you master delayed gratification, you aren't just making one woman miss you. You're becoming a high-value man who's respected and desired by everyone around you. The more you embody patience, self-control, and a deep respect for your own time, the more others will feel that, and they'll want to be part of your world. 7. Cultivate a unique, unforgettable presence. If you want to make a woman truly miss you, you need to be more than just another guy she met. You need to become someone she can't forget. And that has nothing to do with looks or money. It's about the emotional mark you leave, the way you make her feel when you're around, and even more importantly, when you're not. High-value men know this. Your uniqueness is your superpower. It's not just about being charming or saying the right thing. It's about the combination of your mindset, your energy, and the way you carry yourself that sets you apart. Women don't just miss your presence. They miss the way you made them feel, the confidence, the sense of ease, the way your energy filled the room. That's the part they crave. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. Translation? The most powerful thing you can do is be so uniquely you that there's no one else who can take your place. Authenticity beats everything. Cultivating that unforgettable presence isn't about putting on an act or trying to impress anyone. It's about being fully, unapologetically yourself and owning it. High-value men never rely on surface-level tricks to attract others. They stand out because they're deeply rooted in who they are. And that confidence is magnetic. Even the way you speak plays a role. Instead of the typical, "you look great," Elevate your compliments to something that touches her essence. Try saying, "There's something about the way you carry yourself today. It's magnetic." That's not just a compliment, that's recognition. You're seeing her on a deeper level than most, and that sticks with her. Your presence is more than words. But presence isn't just about what you say, it's about the way you show up in life. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What kind of energy do you bring into a room? The people who leave the biggest impact on us aren't the ones who just blend in. They're the ones who own who they are, live by their own values, and carry themselves with quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. That kind of presence is rare, and rare is valuable. Authenticity is magnetic. In today's world, where social media is full of surface-level interactions and everyone's trying to follow trends, being real is revolutionary. High-value men don't chase external validation. They don't try to fit into anyone's mold. They know that real attraction comes from authenticity, not performance. When you approach relationships and life with your own sense of purpose and self-awareness, you automatically stand out. You stop chasing attention because your energy draws people in naturally, including women. Emotional impact is what makes you. Irreplaceable women aren't just attracted to what you say. They're drawn to how you make them feel. Your energy, your curiosity, your ability to see beyond the surface. These are the things that make you unforgettable. Seneca put it perfectly. No man is free who is not master of himself. The more you master your presence, your energy, your mindset, your sense of purpose, the more magnetic you become. Final takeaway. If you want a woman to miss you, truly miss you, you need to be more than just someone she spent time with. You need to become a unique experience, someone who leaves a mark that no one else can replace. That's the power of being authentically you. When you stop trying to fit in and instead embrace everything that makes you different, you don't just attract women, you attract the right women. Because high-value men aren't replaceable. They're one of a kind. And that's the kind of man no woman ever forgets. Who truly appreciates the real you. At the end of the day, the key to leaving a lasting impression has nothing to do with looks. It's all about who you are and how you make people feel when they're around you. If you want to make her miss you, resist the urge to see her constantly, especially early on. Instead, keep your dates to once or twice a week. Occasionally, step back completely, blame a busy schedule or an important project. It's not about playing games. It's about giving her space to feel your absence and start craving your presence. Strategies to make her think about you. Non-stop. Ever wonder why some guys seem to effortlessly occupy a woman's thoughts while others can barely get a text back? It's not luck. It's strategy. There are specific ways to spark intrigue, desire, and emotional connection, and when you master them, you become the guy she can't stop thinking about, even when you're nowhere near her phone. This guide will walk you through exactly how to create that lasting impression, how to leave her with emotions that linger long after you've said goodbye. Strategy 1. Leave a lasting impression. As the Stoics teach us, success isn't about what you own, but who you are. That's especially true when it comes to attraction. The first key to making her miss you is simple. Leave a lasting impression. In Stoicism, we're reminded that it's not external events that define us. It's how we show up. Think about how iconic brands use signature colors, sounds, or scents to make themselves unforgettable. You can do the same, not with gimmicks or over-the-top gestures, but by developing a distinct personal identity, something that's consistent, authentic, and uniquely you. In a world where everyone's fighting to stand out, your power comes from being memorable in your own way, through your energy, your presence, and the small details that make you, you. Maybe it's the way you greet people, a confident handshake with just enough pause to make it feel intentional, or a smile that feels warm and grounded, not forced. It could even be something as small as a signature accessory, a watch, a bracelet, or a ring that always catches the eye. Not because it's flashy, but because it fits you so perfectly that it becomes part of your identity. Personal story. I used to wear a simple white ring on my pinky. It wasn't expensive or showy, but people always remembered it. They didn't remember it because of the ring itself. They remembered the confidence I wore it with, the subtle sense of individuality it gave off. That little detail became part of my presence, a piece of me that lingered in people's minds. And that's exactly what you want to create. Stand out in a distracted world. In a world full of noise and short attention spans, be the person who stands out without trying too hard. Be the guy who leaves such a strong impression that even after you're gone, she finds herself thinking about you. The Stoics teach us that real strength comes from calm confidence, not flash or force. When you cultivate that quiet power, you don't just become attractive, you become irreplaceable. Always remember, it's not about how you get her attention, it's about how you keep it, long after you've walked away. Master the art of leaving a lasting impression, and you'll live rent-free in her mind, far more than you ever imagined. Strategy 2. End conversations at the peak. One of the most underrated tactics to make her miss you is knowing when to walk away. If you always leave conversations at their emotional high point, right when she's most engaged, laughing, or opening up, you leave her with a lingering desire for more. As Seneca wisely said, the greatest wealth is to live content with little. When you leave her wanting just a bit more of your attention, your presence becomes more valuable. There are 2 ways to do this. The bold way, where you confidently end the conversation right after a moment of shared laughter or deep connection. The subtle way, where you naturally wrap up after sharing something intriguing or triggering an emotional spark. Either way, the goal is the same. Create space for her to miss you. In a world of constant availability, the man who knows how to walk away at the right time, leaving her smiling, wondering, and wanting, becomes unforgettable. Leave her wanting more, the power of emotional timing. Whether you choose to end a conversation right after a burst of laughter or just after tapping into a deeper emotional moment, both approaches leave her wanting more. Why? Because both techniques work with human psychology, not against it. People naturally crave what stirs their emotions, especially when those emotions leave a positive or intriguing mark. When you make a woman feel something real, whether it's warmth, curiosity, or even subtle longing, that emotional imprint sticks with her long after you've left. This isn't about playing games or using tricks. It's about creating meaningful interactions that actually matter. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. The same holds true for your interactions. When you focus on quality moments filled with emotional depth and presence, you naturally become someone worth remembering. In doing so, you're also training yourself to adopt a Stoic mindset, one that values emotional intelligence, self-control, and the ability to guide interactions in a way that benefits both of you. And here's the real magic. When you combine this approach with other strategies, like leaving a strong first impression and confidently owning your presence, you start to build an emotional aura. That aura is what keeps her thinking about you when you're not around. Quality over quantity. When to walk away. Here's something to think about. How often do conversations with people start strong, only to fizzle out because they drag on too long? That awkward fade out or sudden dip in energy can actually create distance, not connection. True connection isn't built on how long you talk. It's built on how memorable those conversations feel. How many times have you had a conversation where everything just clicked, and you knew it was time to step away, leaving the other person wanting just a bit more. That's the sweet spot. That's exactly where you want to be when you end a conversation, at the peak, while the energy is still high, before it overstays its welcome. Does that resonate with you? Have you noticed how much stronger a connection feels when you end on a high note, versus letting things fizzle into awkward silence? When you master this, you don't just make her miss you. You also build a connection rooted in something much deeper: emotional depth and anticipation, stoic control, mastering emotional timing. This is where stoic happiness ties directly into relationships. When you know how to gracefully end interactions at just the right moment, you're not only managing your own emotions, you're subtly guiding hers too. It's not about seeking validation or trying to force a moment to feel meaningful. It's about creating value naturally by being fully present, emotionally aware, and intentional about the energy you leave behind. In summary, ending conversations at the right moment, when the emotional spark is still alive, is one of the most underrated skills you can develop. Whether you make her laugh and walk away, or you stir up a meaningful memory and then step back, both strategies plant a seed of longing. They leave her wondering about you, replaying your words, and craving more. When you consistently apply this, you're no longer just someone she enjoys talking to. You become a presence she feels, even in your absence. And as you sharpen this skill, you'll notice something powerful. The emotional connections you create last longer and mean more, because they're rooted in depth, authenticity, and presence. As the Stoics teach, the more mastery you have over your own emotions, the more happiness and fulfillment you can create, not just for yourself, but for everyone you engage with. So next time you're deep in conversation, ask yourself, if I left right now, would this moment stay with her? If the answer is yes, that's your cue to walk away. Strategy 3. Evoke powerful emotions from the past. Have you ever noticed how the most unforgettable conversations are the ones that stir up memories? The kind that make someone pause and say, "Wow, I haven't thought about that in years." If you want to make a woman miss you deeply, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal is the ability to evoke emotions tied to her past. People rarely remember the exact words you say, but they never forget how you make them feel. And memories, especially personal ones, are packed with emotion. This isn't about asking surface-level questions or making small talk. It's about asking the kinds of questions that get her to reflect on her childhood, on the pivotal moments that shaped her, on the experiences that made her the woman she is today. As Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The memories that shaped her are part of her identity. And when you're the person who unlocks those memories, you automatically become part of her story. Tap into the power of past emotions. Emotional experiences shape how we see the world far more than we often realize. And when you're able to invite her to relive those meaningful moments, something powerful happens. She opens up emotionally, creating a bond that's hard to break. So how do you actually bring out those emotions in a natural way? It starts with asking the kinds of questions that encourage her to reflect, the ones that tap into moments that shaped her life. For example, what made you decide to move to the city? What's the most unforgettable adventure you've ever had? These aren't just small talk questions. They're invitations to unlock her story. They take her back to moments that made her who she is today. And when she shares them with you, she's not just telling a story. She's sharing a piece of herself. The secret is to truly listen, not just to her words, but to the emotions behind them. When she opens up about a life-changing trip, a career leap, or even a personal struggle, you have the perfect opportunity to relate, to share your own story in return, building a natural sense of understanding and emotional connection. This is what sets you apart. In today's world, where quick chats and shallow conversations are the norm, taking the time to understand someone on a deeper level is rare and memorable. When you create emotional depth, you become someone she doesn't forget. Women aren't just drawn to confident men. They're drawn to men who make them feel seen, heard, and valued. When you're the person who brings her own story to life, she can't help but think about you, even long after the conversation ends. This approach ties directly into Stoic wisdom, valuing depth, mindfulness, and emotional presence over fleeting surface-level interactions. It's about staying calm, present, and intentional in the way you connect. At the end of the day, the past can either be a weight that holds us back or a bridge that brings us closer. When you use her memories as a way to understand her better, you turn them into something meaningful, not just for her, but for both of you. What's one moment from your past that still brings back powerful emotions? Drop it in the comments. You never know who might relate. Spark emotions about the future. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. If you want to make her miss you in a way that feels natural and genuine, it's not about games or trying to manipulate her feelings. It's about something much deeper, something that aligns with what the Stoics have always taught. True happiness doesn't come from external validation. It comes from how we see ourselves and how we shape our own experiences. The same applies to how you leave a lasting mark on someone. The way you make her feel about her own future, about the possibilities ahead, is what makes you truly unforgettable. People are naturally drawn to those who help them envision a better version of themselves and their lives. When you take the time to ask her about her dreams, her goals, and what excites her about the future, you aren't just making conversation. You're helping her connect with her own sense of purpose. Think about the people who've left the biggest impression on you. Chances are, they were the ones who made you feel like your dreams mattered, like your best self was within reach. That's the energy you want to bring into your conversations with her. Ask questions like, what's one big goal you're working toward right now? Is there something you've always wanted to do but haven't had the chance yet? These questions do more than just fill silence. They open a door for her to talk about her deepest desires. And when you listen, really listen, you become someone who's part of that vision. But don't stop there. Help her visualize what that future could look like. One filled with excitement, growth, and possibility. Whether it's talking about her dream trip, her passion project, or even how she wants her life to feel in the years ahead, your presence in that conversation makes you someone who inspires her imagination. And here's the real secret. When she starts to associate those positive emotions with you, you're no longer just someone she's talking to. You become someone she sees as part of her story, someone who could walk beside her as she brings her dreams to life. That's the kind of emotional connection that sticks. It's not forced. It's not fake. It's authentic. And it's exactly what makes her miss you in a way that's real and lasting. Because at the end of the day, the people we miss the most aren't the ones who filled our time. They're the ones who made us feel more alive. Imagine she says, I've always wanted to travel the world, but haven't had the chance. Instead of simply nodding and agreeing, try taking it a step further by asking her to really picture it. How do you think your life would change if you could travel the world and experience new cultures? What would that feel like? These aren't just questions. They're emotional invitations. They stir feelings that make her excited about the endless possibilities ahead. And when she starts associating those emotions with you, your presence in her life becomes unforgettable. The core of Stoic happiness is knowing you've made a real impact in her life, not by trying to impress her with what you do or have, but by inspiring her to dream, to hope, and to imagine a future that's better than she thought. So ask those thought-provoking questions, engage in conversations that matter, and spark emotions that she'll carry with her long after you've parted ways. You'll soon realize that it's not just about what you say, but how you make her feel about the possibilities of the future and the role you could play in it. Mastering texting. Have you ever had something you took for granted, only to realize its true value when it was almost gone? You can use this idea to your advantage when trying to make a woman miss you deeply. One of the most powerful strategies used by high-value men is creating the illusion of loss. This doesn't mean being distant or manipulative, but rather subtly shifting the dynamic so she feels like she might lose access to you, without you saying it outright. Think about it. When something is scarce or slipping away, your desire for it intensifies. This is the essence of creating value through the illusion of loss, and it works wonders in relationships. As Seneca wisely said, "The greatest wealth is to live content with little." When you make your time seem limited, you increase your value in her eyes. So, how do you do this? Instead of saying, "I'm too busy," try saying something like, "I've been reflecting a lot lately on where I'm investing my time and energy." This small shift lets her know that you have other priorities, triggering her fear of losing access to you. This approach isn't about playing games. It's about acknowledging that your time is valuable and that you have a life full of meaningful pursuits. High-value men know that their attention isn't something to be handed out freely. By subtly hinting at this, you make her realize that she might lose the privilege of your presence, which in turn makes her desire it more. Rooted in Stoic wisdom, this tactic teaches us to focus on what truly matters, avoid getting overly attached to outcomes, and prioritize our own growth. By stepping back and focusing on your own goals, you become more attractive to others, especially women. So next time you find yourself giving too much of your attention, remember, take a step back and create the illusion of loss. It will spark her desire and make her miss you more than you can imagine. The golden rule of phone calls. In a world where we're constantly connected, one of the best ways to make a woman miss you is by not always being immediately available. We all know how tempting it is to answer every call or text right away. But what if I told you that by delaying your response, you can actually increase your value in her eyes? High-value men understand the importance of maintaining a sense of mystery and balance in their relationships. The way you handle phone calls is no exception. This is where the golden rule of phone calls comes in. By not answering every call instantly, you create a sense of intrigue and anticipation. It's a subtle but powerful way to show that you have a life outside of your interactions with her. This sense of independence can make her miss you more and deepen her desire to connect with you. Never answer all her calls right away. When you show her that you have a busy life, it subconsciously signals that you have your own world, your own priorities, and that your time is precious. As Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This is a reminder to spend your time wisely, not just responding to someone else's needs. The key here is subtlety. When she calls, don't answer immediately. Take a moment before picking up, or reply with something like, "Hey, I'm watching a movie right now. Call me later." This isn't about being rude or distant. It's about creating a healthy emotional distance that makes her appreciate your attention even more. Think about it. How often do we take people or experiences for granted when they're always available at our beck and call? But when someone's harder to reach, they become more desirable and intriguing. This approach, rooted in Stoic wisdom, is about controlling what you can, your time, attention, and energy. When you make her work for your attention, you're not just increasing your value, you're also giving her a taste of what it feels like to miss you. And that's exactly what you want. In today's fast-paced world, many people seek constant validation and immediate responses. But by not succumbing to that pressure, you're showing that your life doesn't revolve around her calls or texts. High-value men understand this balance. They're not always available because they're busy building their lives, pursuing goals, and growing as individuals. By respecting your own time and not jumping at every ring, you show her that your attention is something to be earned, not something available at any moment. So the next time your phone rings, remember, your time is your most precious asset. Don't be afraid to let her wait a little longer. It will only make her miss you more. Control the frequency of meetups. If you truly want a woman to miss you, master the art of controlled presence and strategic absence. Both are rooted in a Stoic mindset. Too often, men make the mistake of being overly available, constantly seeking her time and attention, which unknowingly lowers their own value. As the Stoics knew, true power lies in self-control and restraint. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This means when you're always around, she never has the chance to feel your absence, to wonder about you, to imagine life without you. Instead of seeing her every day or being at her beck and call, limit your meetings to once or twice a week. This isn't about playing games, it's about creating a life so rich and fulfilling that your time becomes naturally scarce. The truth is, attraction thrives in mystery and anticipation. If she knows you're always available, there's no longing, no desire, and no reason for her to miss you. But if she experiences brief periods of absence, not because you're neglecting her, but because you're focused on personal growth, work, or meaningful passions, she'll start to feel the void you leave behind. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Rather than constantly proving your worth through attention, live with purpose. Occasionally extend those gaps, a week or two for reasons like travel, deep focus on a project, or self-improvement. A man who prioritizes his mission over constant validation becomes infinitely more attractive. When you pull back, you let her emotions work in your favor. She begins to think about you, wonder about you, and crave the energy you bring into her life. Think about it. The rarest things in life are the most desirable. It's the same with attention and presence. If you make yourself too available, you risk becoming ordinary in her eyes. But if you create space, she'll start to chase that connection again. Ask yourself, are you filling every moment with her out of fear, or do you have the inner confidence to let her miss you? The essence of Stoic happiness. True Stoic happiness comes from finding fulfillment within, instead of searching for it externally. A Stoic mindset teaches that detachment from neediness creates magnetism. The less you seek validation, the more valuable you become. So how will you nurture that self-sufficiency today? How will you embrace the power of absence, knowing that true presence is felt most deeply when it's momentarily lost? Make her chase. If you want to make any woman miss you deeply, embrace the mindset of a high-value man. One who doesn't chase, but is instead chased. Too many men make the mistake of being overly available, responding instantly, and never allowing space for attraction to build. But here's the truth. Desire thrives in absence. When a woman starts to wonder what you're doing, where you are, and why you're not always available, that's when she begins to miss you. This isn't about manipulation. It's about positioning yourself as someone who values his time and purpose over constantly seeking validation. Who do people admire the most? The ones who are always desperate for attention, or the ones who move with quiet confidence, focused on their own journey? A man who is secure in himself with a purpose beyond any relationship naturally commands respect. Women are drawn to this because it signals strength, independence, and self-sufficiency, all key traits of a high-value man. Let's look at an example from modern life. Imagine a man who spends every moment texting, calling, and always initiating plans with a woman he likes. In the beginning, she may enjoy the attention, but over time, that constant availability dulls the excitement. There's no challenge, no sense of unpredictability. Now contrast this with a man who's focused on his work, fitness, and personal growth, and who isn't always reachable. He isn't rude or dismissive. He's simply living his life with purpose. The difference is night and day. The first man becomes predictable and easily replaceable. The second becomes intriguing and desirable. She starts to think about him, wonder when he'll reach out, and crave the moments when she does get his attention. Why? Because scarcity creates value. Anything that's too easy to obtain is never truly appreciated. The Stoic lesson here is simple. Control what you can and let go of what you can't. A man who knows his worth never begs for attention. He earns it effortlessly by being the kind of man people naturally gravitate toward. High-value men don't chase, they attract. The secret to attraction isn't found in playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being a man who genuinely has more important things to do than seeking approval. Ask yourself, are you prioritizing your growth, ambitions, and mission in life? Or are you constantly seeking validation from someone else? The moment you shift your focus inward, you become the kind of man who doesn't just make women miss him. You become the kind of man who commands respect, admiration, and desire effortlessly. If you're embracing these Stoic principles, leave a comment with the words precious, not clingy, to let us know you're on the path to transformation. Your journey has just begun. Build an exciting life. If you want a woman to miss you so badly that she can't stop thinking about you, the secret isn't in chasing her. It's in building a life that's so exciting and fulfilling that she craves to be a part of it. Too many men make the mistake of revolving their entire existence around a woman, thinking that constant availability and attention will make them more desirable. But here's the truth. Nothing repels attraction faster than neediness. A man who has no personal ambitions, no deeper mission, and no sense of purpose beyond the relationship becomes forgettable. But when you live with passion, when you set and pursue meaningful goals, when you wake up every day with unshakable confidence because you're striving for something greater, you naturally become magnetic. This is what it means to win Stoic, to be in control of your life, emotions, and destiny rather than letting someone else dictate your worth. True mastery and the power of purpose. Look at any man who's truly admired, whether in business, sports, art, or any field of mastery. He doesn't spend his days wondering if a woman is thinking about him. He's too busy conquering his world. This isn't about ignoring relationships. It's about leading with purpose. Think about men like Elon Musk, who's obsessed with innovation, or someone like David Goggins, who pushes himself to the extreme both physically and mentally. These men don't chase validation, and because of that, they are respected, admired, and desired. A man who's focused on his craft, who exudes confidence because he's constantly evolving, doesn't need to beg for attention. His presence is naturally valued. If you want a woman to miss you, don't text her endlessly or seek her approval. Instead, become the man who is so deeply engaged in his journey that she feels privileged just to be a part of it. In today's world, mediocrity is the default, and most people settle for comfort over growth. But if you want to be unforgettable, refuse to be like the rest. Get in the gym, master a skill, build a business, travel, engage in meaningful conversations, and live with a fire that others can't ignore. When a woman sees that you're truly living, thriving without needing her to complete you, she won't just miss you, she'll admire you. And admiration is the foundation of deep attraction. So ask yourself, are you building a life that excites you, or are you just waiting for someone else to give you purpose? The moment you shift your focus from seeking external validation to mastering yourself, you won't just win with women, you'll win at life. And that's how you win Stoic. Leverage social media to your advantage. If you want a woman to miss you badly, understand the power of perception, especially in the digital age. Social media is a tool, not a lifeline. When used wisely, it can amplify your presence, even in your absence. A Stoic mindset teaches us that true strength lies in control, not excess. This applies to how you manage your online presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This means that instead of mindlessly posting or seeking attention, you should curate what you share with intent and purpose. Avoid oversharing every detail of your life. Instead, focus on posting content that sparks curiosity. Show glimpses of your growth, adventures, passions, things that subtly remind her of the value you bring without seeking validation. Women are drawn to men who have a life of their own. When she sees you engaged in meaningful activities, she'll naturally start to wonder about you. The key is balance. If you flood your profile with updates, selfies, and attention-seeking posts, you'll diminish the aura of mystery. On the other hand, if you disappear entirely, you risk being forgotten. The goal is to create just enough presence to stay on her mind without seeming like you're trying too hard. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Instead of wasting time proving your worth online, let your life speak for itself. A well-placed photo of you traveling, working on your passion, or simply enjoying life is far more impactful than a staged attempt to get her attention. Ask yourself, are you using social media as a tool for self-expression, or are you unknowingly seeking external validation? A Stoic mindset reminds us that attraction is built on perception, and perception is shaped by what we allow others to see. By maintaining a balanced online presence, you create the perfect mix of accessibility and mystery. The less you try to prove your worth, the more valuable you become. So, the next time you think about posting, pause and ask yourself, will this add to my presence, or will it take away from my mystery? When you learn to control what you share, you also control how she perceives you. And in the end, that's what makes her miss you. Conclusion. To create a strong emotional connection, tap into those powerful memories and evoke dreams of the future. Keep the frequency of your meetings reasonable and create attraction by not always being available. Build an interesting, independent life that excites you. Finally, share interesting moments on social media without overdoing it. If you found this useful, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment on the channel.